Hello again. Welcome to Political Circle. Electoral bodies in Nigeria can trace their origin to the period before the independence. The first electoral body in Nigeria was the Electoral Commission of Nigeria, ECN, which was established to conduct the 1959 elections. Then came the Federal Electoral Commission, FEC, established in 1960. FEC was followed by the Federal Electoral Commission, popularly known as FEDECO. In December 1995, the military government of General Sani Abacha established the National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, NECON. The Abdul Salam Abubakar administration dissolved NECON and established the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The body has since remained until date. Its presence has been established in all the 36 states, the Federal Capital Territory, as well as the 774 local government areas in Nigeria. Among its functions is to organize and conduct general elections in the country, including the various by-elections into various federal offices. The question is, to what extent have they fared in conducting peaceful and credible elections in Nigeria? This is what we intend to unravel on Political Circle today. Our topic is INEC and by-elections in Nigeria. My name is Luke Umbo, and I'm joined by a big fish in the political space, Dr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo, an ally and a political juggernaut, a rights and environmental activist, a doctor of letters, honoris causa, from the University of America, California, United States of America. Onwa, you're welcome to Political Circle.
It's good to do you again, sir.
Let's start by evaluating the performance of INEC since inception.
That's a tall order.
But we have to go into it.
And so INEC is one of those elements of the conditions for democracy. If you are going to have a democratic nation or community, there are 7 basic elements minimum you must have so that there will be a democratic culture. One is the constitution of the country. The next thing is the material and electoral condition for democracy, and that is where INEC is situated. The other ones are the intellectual conditions, which is education, and then the economic condition for democracy. So INEC has a unique and strategic position to deliver democratic regime. Democracy is the government of the people, for the people, by the people. So the participation of the people. The competition for leadership is based on mutual engine of development. It is not competition where arms and ammunition are used. Is a platform. The first rudiments for the election is how do you participate in that democratic space. The Constitution made a provision in section 221 and 222 that no individual can come out to lead and canvass to be voted for in election, that individual need a platform called political association, political party, and INEC superintends this platform. In Nigeria, since we've been conducting election, Nigerians think that the only work in a democracy is to get PVC and vote. That is the least requirement for election. So INEC need to be the engine room to engineer the necessary elements that will bring fair play in electoral process, more particularly the law. There is a constitutional provision on how election will be conducted and when it will be conducted, and it's the responsibility of Inec to do that. Then Inec make rules and regulations. Then the National Assembly superintends by setting the ground rule for the election. So if you want to appraise the work of Inec in Nigeria, I will score them 20%. Only in structures. Inec has been consuming so much money, there's no result.
Now let me get to this. The answer, Independent National Electoral Commission. How independent are they?
Well, first of all, when you talk about independence of an organization, you start with how the structure is set, how the organization is run, how is the constituent membership.
I think we are going to take a break now, a short break.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on e-vibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
So I should try harder, so...
Okay, I don't know that one.
Outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hub's on e-vibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
Well, thanks for joining us on the show today. We were talking about the independence of Inec.
First of all, the structure, the setup of the organization, the recruitment, the appointment of the leadership and how they are selected, and who superintends their function. All will consummate to be on the platform of how independent the organization is. Usually, policies of the government and the National Assembly that superintends our national election, they make the laws. So whoever that is responsible for the funding of Inec has a major role to play. And do you put them on a special charge for their revenue, or do you make appropriations and deliver the appropriations through the executive branch of the government? So these are the issues that will
going by the Constitution. The president appoints the Inec chairman. To what extent does he have control over the Inec chairman?
Yes, Nigerians, I think we have passed that possibility that we're a country that is very slow in getting things done because of the responsibilities of a presidential system of government who will checkmate or help to promote the urgency of the moment. There is a report which the government sponsored, which is called Justice Owesi's report. And there were some recommendations, far-reaching recommendations made. It was laid before the executive, which is the presidency. Because the National Assembly do not superintend the executive in a presidential system, so it's the responsibility of the citizenry to agitate and put pressure so that the executive will act. Other than that, if we had been in a parliamentary system of government, the ministers in the cabinet would have been able to checkmate the executive so that it will be brought to fruition. So those are the limitations.
Oh, well, thank you. Now, talking about Inec, the by-elections, and the Constitution. I'll go to the Constitution now. There are observations. So let's find out to what extent Inec is following the Constitution. I'll go to the 1999 Constitution as amended, Section 76, subsection 1, and it reads,
that is for the Senate.
For the Senate. Okay.
National Assembly.
National Assembly. It reads, elections to each house of the National Assembly shall be held on a date to be appointed by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Section 2 reads, the date subsection 2, the date mentioned in subsection 1 of this section shall not be earlier than 60 days before and not later than the date on which the House stands dissolved, or where the election is to fill a vacancy occurring more than 3 months before such date, not later than 1 month after the vacancy occurred. And let's now go to that of the House of Assembly.
State houses of assembly.
You know, I'm not a lawyer.
You don't need
I'm trying to read it out the way it's written.
Yeah, you don't need the law degree to know that.
It says, elections to a House of Assembly shall be held on a date to be appointed by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Subsection 2. The date mentioned in subsection 1 of this section shall not be earlier than 60 days before and not later than the date on which the House of Assembly stands dissolved, or where the election is to fill a vacancy occurring more than 3 months before such dates, not later than 1 month after the vacancy occurred. I want you to react to this.
Well, the provision is unambiguous. Interpretation of law in sections of the Constitution, you look at the whole provisions. So what the law is saying is who has power to conduct election. It's clearly stated is the Independent National Electoral Commission that has the sole responsibility by our Constitution. Then the Constitution also says if you are conducting an election at specific time, you read about 60 days before the winding up of the parliament. It gives you a time frame. Then there is another subsidiary point made for filling of vacancies in electoral parishes for representation. That is where it said, or if you read that section well, it says if you have to conduct an election to fill a vacancy, it gave you a time frame within which you do that. And if you don't do it within that time frame, it becomes illegal. I will give you an example with my state, in Anambra State. Distinguished Senator Ifeanyi Uba, whose election for the Southern District in Anambra was conducted. When did he leave the parliament? By death. It's over a year now, going to a year. And so, when was the election conducted? So, the election was conducted in breach of the Constitution. Who are in the legal department of Inec? They all have law degrees. They don't read. So, this is a problem. So, the issue is that another segment, which is the state constituency election in Onitsha North, the state constituency 1, the gentleman that was occupying that seat, who was of, I think, Labour Party, Honorable Justice somebody, who was kidnapped and was murdered. When did he leave that office? By death. So when was the election conducted? So it was also in breach. So the interpretation of this provision, if you are not satisfied, will be done by a court. I'm saying that the election in Anambra State was illegal.
Well, the court will decide, and the Constitution is there to guide the court.
The facts will be presented by somebody. So,
now, leaving that, let's go to the conducting of by-elections in Nigeria. How would you rate? Yes, there were orders beyond your state. How would you rate INEC?
The entire provision in the democratic system has been violated. We have not satisfied the conditions for democracy. Election, conduct of election, voting, PVC are not the conditions only for a democratic society. You have the psychological and intellectual condition. How are the people aware of their rights? Do you know from origin, if you don't own a property, you do not vote, so that you will know the consequences of your vote? So the economic consideration for you to be a Democrat and participate. Then how can somebody give you money and sway your vote? It's fraud. So all these things that we are experiencing today in Nigeria and we feel is normal, these are the conditions that will never give us democracy. So if you cannot read and write, you can't participate in a democracy, because everything is embedded in rule of law. So you must understand the Constitution, you understand the fairness in the game of voting. You can't promote fraud and you feel you are a Democrat, you're participating in democracy, buying votes, snatching ballot boxes, and then the entire state or constituency are shut down because of election. We're not thinking, today it will be seamless to vote, and nobody, you can even use your phone, digital voting and election we are talking. So at the end of the day, INEC will collect the information and declare a winner. And then, based on the rules, if you're challenging the election, you can go to court. But first of all, the judiciary in Nigeria and the parliament in Nigeria and the intellectual Nigerian elites have not been able to understand that the fundamental of democracy is that democracy is the rule of the people, by the people, for themselves. When Obasanjo became president in 1989, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court that you can, as a voter, you cannot challenge an election. That it is only the person who contested the election. Now, the person who contested, who voted for him, first of all, you have eliminated the people from coming out to say, look, this election is marred by irregularity. We don't accept it. So it's really the technical arm, lawyers for the person who they represent, who contested the election. It's not democracy. Now, very lately, there is a decision in this country which people need to go and look at again. The case of Adesanya against Federal Republic of Nigeria. That case was in Shagari's government. Senator Adesanya, a lawyer, participated in interrogating expenditure and appointments, and things were being done in daily times or something like that. And at the floor of the parliament, the eyes have it, the usual. He felt that the right thing had not been done, that the legislature need to scrutinize the executive. He went to court and sued the president. Then the Federal Attorney General of Nigeria went to court and challenged Adesanya's local standard to present that case. The lead judgment was written by one of the most erudite judicial personalities in Nigeria. He said, no, that Adesanya has the local standard, but that Adesanya have participated in the debate and fight to kill whatever bill or budget in the parliament, that he can no longer come to court and have a second bite of the pie. That became the local classicals on issue of, can a citizen participate and interrogate his government? So now we need to understand who is responsible to demand account from the executives in a presidential system, in the electoral system. The president in Nigeria is equivalent to the governor and the chairman of local government. All the elections are conducted by the body in the frame of Inec. Some may be for the state. Now, the president will prepare the budget just like the governor and the House of Assembly. He will present it. The parliament will, as the representative of the people, will give him approval to go ahead. But under the law, the parliament cannot superintend the executive in a presidential system. They can't call him to account. The only provision we have is the provision where the House can initiate proceedings to impeach the governor. There's no provision for vote of confidence in presidential system, unlike in the parliamentary system, where the prime minister is the executive. He selects his cabinet within his peer in the parliament. Okay. And those peer in the parliament, depending on the divide where you fall, if there's a government of maybe two parties or something like that, will interrogate the executive. We call him to order based on the barometer in this community about the performance of the government. So if they are not satisfied, they will pass a vote of no confidence and dissolve the parliament and go for election. So these are things Nigerians don't really understand the workings, and we have a problem.
You're really informative. You're really informing us. Now let's still talking about by-elections. You made mention of vote buying.
That's not democracy.
Violence in elections. And I recall that even in the just concluded election in your state, the APC was complaining about all of this. So why is it not easy for INEC to conduct a by-election that does not involve the entire nation? I was thinking that they will be able to do that perfectly, since the number of, it doesn't involve everybody.
There's a fundamental. The philosophy of government is the aspiration, entire aspiration of a country. Conducting an election is not democracy alone. That's the main thing you ought to understand. There are certain conditions that ought to be fulfilled so that democracy can strive. How do you bring somebody to participate in an election? He will vote for a candidate presented by the political party. How did the party select their candidate? Who mobilizes the people? Is it INEC? It is the parties and persuasions and interests that the parties will promote will enlighten the citizens, and they become interested in the electoral system. Who controls the party? The bureaucrats, the party chairman, the officers of the political party. Who contests the election? The careerists, those who have constituency, those who have knowledge, those who can understand what the issues will be and present it to the people. Then there's a marriage. There's the enthusiasm of the people. You don't go and give people money to vote for you. They look at your program. How can an illiterate community talk about program? They talk about rice and sharing of groundnut oil and onions. So we must pass this stage. We need to take back our community and reorganize ourselves. In your village, we do elections. Do you share rice to select your chairman? And so because we have a culture. That is the system. You don't introduce fraud and somebody who is not qualified will smuggle himself through someone, and then all this things that will be chaos all over the place. So nothing has changed. We must go back to rebuild the communities and promote value system.
Thank you very much. Time is not our friend, but I'll just ask this. Any advice for INEC officials, politicians, and political parties on elections?
You don't give advice to institutions. You mobilize the people, like you're doing in this program, educating the people so that they can claim and fill the spaces.
Okay. Well, that's it on Political Circle today. I've been talking to Dr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo. Ifeanyi Chukwu E.R. Okonkwo, a rights and environmental activist, Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, University of America, California, United States of America, and I'm not forgetting a one-time Cuba candidate in Anambra State.
It doesn't make sense. I lost. So
you can't wash it away. You can't wish it away.
It's a shame.
Thank you very much, viewers, for joining us on the show today. My name is Luke Umbo. Please God, we'll come back again. Nigeria, we hail thee.